We go, hello, YMYW team. I'm wondering about the best way to help our young adult kids when they're ready to buy a house. Is this from you, Al?
Yeah, I want you and I to spitball my situation.
The kids are working and making good income and are very reasonable or responsible. We are blessed to be able to help them in this process and are wondering what our options are that makes the most sense. A friend of mine told me that they purchased the house with their kids and then rented it back to them for 3 years. Wow. I mean, what kind of, they're just living in, where are they living? I mean, hey, well, my best friend, all these people are buying their kids' homes.
Well, it says Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta. Okay. So
I don't know much about the housing market there.
That's a nice place.
Yeah.
Probably pretty expensive.
Probably.
At the end of the 3 years, the kids bought it back from their parents for a reasonable value. This allowed the kids to live in a slightly nicer house than they could have bought originally, while increased their earnings and savings. I assume that the parents treated this as a rental property for tax purposes. Is this a better option than gifting the kids a down payment? What are the pluses and minuses? We would not co-sign or co-own a house with our adult kids, as this seems to create potential legal and estate issues. I'd love your thoughts. I drive a 2021 Corolla. I have no pets and enjoy a glass of Cabernet with my amazing husband every night. Wow. Thanks for what you do. Chris in Atlanta, Georgia.
Awesome.
Okay, Al, we could get a little creative here, I suppose.
Sure. Well, I mean, let's go over the choices, right? So you could give your kids a down payment, let them buy the house. You could loan your kids a down payment, let them buy the house. You could co-sign, which they don't want to do. Co-sign means you co-sign on the loan. If your kids don't pay, you're responsible for the payment. You could buy the house, as is indicated here, and then you own it. Maybe you own 50%, maybe you own 100%, maybe, or whatever. In this particular case, he's talking about owning it outright and then selling it to the kids. Seems like a lot of work to do this. I don't know. Can you think of anything else?
No, I mean, I think what she's asking is there some tax moves? Is there something savvy that Chris can do?
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, here, maybe we buy the house, we rent it to the kids. And we've seen that before, because then, you know, with gift tax and depending on estate sizes and things like that, you know, you can kind of avoid some issues there. Because, or you could gift back the payment to the kid, right?
Sure.
You've seen that.
Yep.
So let's say if the payment's under $20,000, what's that gift exemption?
I think is it 16,000 this
16,
year?
18,000 bucks?
I think it's 16
grand. So you buy the house and then, you know, they could pay you rent, or you could gift the payment, or you could give them the down payment. But I guess I don't understand what their friend did. So they rented it back for 3 years. So they're saying, okay, well, here's a $500,000 house. We're going to buy the house and you're going to rent it from us. And then in 3 years, we're going to sell it to you for maybe a discounted rate.
Yeah, I think that's what she's implying.
And so then they could buy a little bit nicer house, and the parents are, you know, the gift to the kids would be what, the discounted rate on the house. So they could get into maybe a $500,000 house where maybe they could really only afford a $400,000 house. So the parents are gifting them maybe that $100,000 differential. I mean, I like that idea, depending on how you want to finance this. So if you're going to pay cash, or you're going to hold a note, or are you going to transfer the note to the kids? So
yeah, they could have done a rent to own type thing, right? Where the amount that they were paying towards the rent actually went towards them purchasing the house.
They could do something like that.
You could. Yeah,
There's no real. I mean, I guess the tax advantages is, so you have a Schedule E. But then when you sell the house to the kids, you're going to have to recapture a lot of that stuff back.
Yeah, and depending upon their income level, they may not get the deduction anyway.
Yeah.
So it just gets suspended and used against the sale.
And you're going to sell it at a discount. So there's probably not going to be a gain on the house. So I don't know how big of a tax advantage that would be.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I agree with you. I think there's not too many tax advantages here. I think it's more what's the best way to get some equity, home to your kids without spoiling them? That's the way I think of this question. And so I'll just run through a couple things quickly. So you could give them the money, or you could loan them the money for the down payment and they get the loan. I kind of like those because now it's their home, their purchase. I don't really want to buy a home and sell it back to them in 3 years, because what if they don't want it? And then I got a home I don't want.
Yeah.
Right. So I wouldn't really like that one. If you give the kids the money, then that's a perfectly fine way to go. It's $16,000 per person per year gifting. And so let's see, if you're married and if your kid is married, so that's 16,000 times 4, which is 64,000, I believe.
Yeah, call it 70.
Yeah, close to 70. Yeah, 60, 70,000 you can give to them without a tax consequence. So that seems like a good way to go. You could loan it to them if you want them to have a little bit more skin in the game. The lender is going to make you sign a form that says it's not a loan. So you just have to be willing to kind of fudge that a little bit. Happens all the time, but just understand that's the consequence. Yeah, the lease to own, the buying the property. I'm not crazy about that personally, just because I may end up with a property I really don't want. And I sort of like the kids. I'll help them out to get their first home, but I want them to build equity on their own, so it's more real to them, instead of saying, "Well, I got this home I can't afford because of my parents." That's me. So I would actually personally just give them the money for the down payment. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best. And you could give more than this, 16,000 times 4.
You can.
I
Yeah,
mean, you could give them several $100,000. It doesn't necessarily matter. You're just going to have to file a gift tax return. It
Right.
just reduces your lifetime credit.
Yeah, exactly. So 64,000 comes off the 200 that you gave them. So you basically you reduce your credit by the difference between those two. Roughly 140,000 ish. So yeah, that's what I would do. And if you want them to get it into a nicer home, just give them more money so they can afford the mortgage, and you just have a bigger down payment.
Yeah.
Are you prepared for retirement? Schedule a free financial assessment with an experienced financial professional right online at purefinancial.com.